You are doing something right now that no other adult animal on Earth does. You might not think about it much. It probably happened this morning. Maybe in your coffee. Maybe in your cereal. Maybe straight from the glass. You drank milk. Not your mother's milk, not milk from your own species at all. Milk that came from a completely different animal, one that has four stomachs, one that you have almost nothing in common with. And you didn't flinch. Most people assume this is just normal, just food, something humans have always done, but that assumption is wrong. In the most fascinating way possible, because for almost all of human history, drinking animal milk as an adult would have made you violently sick. Your body would have rejected it completely, and the fact that you can drink it today is the result of one of the strangest biological mutations in the history of our species. Stay with this until the end, because the last part is going to change the way you look at your own body. And at the people sitting next to you right now, here is where it starts. Every mammal on Earth produces milk for its young. That is what makes a mammal a mammal. The mother feeds the infant grows. And then something happens. The infant stops needing milk, and the body knows this. When a baby mammal is weaned, its body begins shutting down the production of a specific enzyme, an enzyme called lactase. Lactase is the thing that breaks down lactose. Lactose is the sugar in milk. Without lactase, your body cannot digest it. So in the wild, every single mammal, after infancy, loses the ability to drink milk. Every cat, every dog, every lion and elephant and chimpanzee. They are all lactose intolerant as adults, by design, on purpose, because they no longer need it. And for most of human history, we were exactly the same. Imagine you are a human being living 10,000 years ago. You have just domesticated a cow, or a goat, or a sheep. You have figured out that these animals produce milk, you try to drink it, within a few hours your stomach cramps. You feel bloated and nauseous. You might vomit. You definitely spend some time close to the ground, wishing you hadn't. This was the universal human experience for the vast majority of our existence as a species. So why did we keep the animals at all? This is the part that most people never think about. Early farmers did not keep dairy animals for the milk. They kept them for meat, for leather, for labor, for blood. Some ancient cultures actually mixed animal blood with other foods as a nutrient source. Milk was essentially useless to most adults, because most adults could not process it. But then something happened, around 10,000 years ago. In what is now Turkey and the surrounding region, humans began farming in earnest, and a mutation appeared, a single genetic mutation, one tiny change in one gene, a gene called LCT. And this mutation did something remarkable. It kept the lactase enzyme switched on, not just in infants, in adults too, all the way through life. The people born with this mutation could drink animal milk without getting sick. As adults, for the very first time in human history. Now here is where it gets extraordinary. This mutation on its own is nothing, a curiosity, a biological accident. If those people had been living in a forest hunting deer and gathering berries, the mutation would have made almost no difference. It might have disappeared completely. But they were not in a forest. They were farmers. They had herds of dairy animals. They had a sudden, massive, reliable source of calories. Right there, available constantly, and now they could use it. The people with the mutation survived at higher rates. They had more energy, better nutrition, more children. Their children inherited the mutation. Those children had more children, and the mutation spread. Researchers have traced this exact process through ancient DNA. Scientists like Mark Thomas at University College London have studied the spread of lactase persistence across prehistoric European populations. And what they found was striking. The mutation did not spread slowly. It spread explosively. In a matter of a few thousand years, what was a rare genetic accident became one of the most common traits in Northern and Western European populations, because the people who had it had a survival edge so powerful that it rewrote the genetics of entire regions. This is natural selection happening fast enough that we can actually watch it in the archaeological record. But here is the part that should stop you cold. Not everyone got this mutation. Not every human population was farming dairy animals at the same time. Not every group had the same access to herds. Not every region was hit by the same famines that made those extra calories matter so much. And so today, the world is divided. In Northern and Western Europe, somewhere between 90 and 95% of people can digest lactose as adults. The mutation became almost universal because the farming conditions made it that powerful. In East Asia, the number drops to roughly 10 to 15%. Most people there never developed widespread dairy herding cultures. The selection pressure never arrived. In West Africa, parts of South America, Southeast Asia, the majority of adults are still lactose intolerant. Not because something is wrong with them, because they never needed the mutation. Their ancestors did not depend on animal milk for survival, so the gene never spread. Lactose intolerance is not an abnormality. It is the default human condition. The people who can drink milk easily are the genetic outliers, the ones who carry a mutation that most of the world never received. Think about that. The next time someone acts like dairy is just a normal, neutral food that all humans naturally eat. It is not. It is the product of a very specific chain of historical and evolutionary accidents, and billions of people today still carry bodies designed for a world before that accident happened. But this goes even deeper, and this is the part that genuinely surprised researchers. When scientists first started tracing the history of dairy consumption, they assumed that humans only started eating dairy once they developed lactase persistence. That the mutation had to come first. That you had to be able to digest milk before you would bother keeping milk animals. That assumption turned out to be backwards. Evidence from ancient pottery, from chemical residue analysis on thousands-of-year-old ceramic vessels, showed that humans were processing milk long before the mutation became widespread. How? They fermented it. When you ferment milk, something remarkable happens to the lactose. Bacteria consume it. They break it down, and what remains is something much easier for a lactose-intolerant stomach to handle. Things like cheese, yogurt, cultured butter. Ancient humans, even without the mutation, found a way to capture the nutrition in animal milk by letting bacteria do the digestion for them. Researchers including Richard Evershed at the University of Bristol published findings showing dairy residues in pottery from European sites dating back to around 9,000 years ago. Well before lactase persistence became common, these people were eating dairy. They had just invented a biological workaround. So here's the picture. Humans started farming animals. They noticed the milk. They tried to drink it. It made them sick. They figured out that if they let it ferment, they could eat it without getting sick. They did that for thousands of years. Meanwhile, a mutation appeared that let some people skip the fermentation step entirely. Those people thrived. Their descendants spread across the globe, and today, roughly a third of all humans carry that mutation, while the other two-thirds still carry the original human body. The original, factory default human, incapable of digesting raw animal milk as adults. And here is the thing that ties all of this back to you. Wherever you are right now, wherever your family comes from, your relationship to dairy is not just a food preference. It is a genetic timestamp. It is your body carrying the specific history of where your ancestors lived, what animals they farmed, what survival pressures they faced thousands of years ago. If you can drink a glass of milk without any discomfort, your DNA carries the echo of a specific famine, in a specific place, in a specific window of time that made that mutation worth spreading. If you cannot drink it without discomfort, you are not broken. You are not missing something. You are simply carrying the body that every human being on this planet had for hundreds of thousands of years before anyone thought to milk a cow. The same body as the people who first stood upright on the savannah. The same digestive system as every human who ever lived before farming. Your ancestors did not drink other animals' milk. Not because they could not find it, but because their bodies, like every other mammal on Earth, were built to need milk only once. In the very beginning, when the world was new and you were small and everything you needed came from one source and one source only. We changed that, slowly, accidentally, through famine and mutation and fermented cheese and thousands of years of adaptation, and most of us never even think about it. We just pour it in our coffee and move on.